Hey, everybody, welcome to the Multifamily Legacy Podcast. I'm your host, Corey Peterson. We have got an amazing show for you today. I'm with my good friend, Cassi DeHaas, and she is a force to be reckoned with. And she is, they're totally killing it in real estate. They're having lots of fun. They're doing some amazing things, even in my favorite little part of the world, Hawaii. So, Cassi, before I get, I got to do a little bit of housekeeping before I give official, like letting you take the stage here. So hold on for just a second. Kansas is going to go bye-bye, but first we got to pay the bills. And how we pay the bills is my wonderful, wonderful audience. They love us, and they're going to love this podcast so much that they are going to go to iTunes and they're going to give us a 5-star review. And when you do that, then if I like you enough, I get to say your review. So here's one from Riley SLC, and his 5-star review said, "Not only does Corey know what he's talking about, thank you very much, he seems extremely nice and humble, an all-around great guy who also tears it up in the multifamily arena. I look forward to more episodes to come." So Riley, here's looking at you. Thank you so much for that. Means a lot. These little things, these little things that you give are like little pieces of gold, and they do mean a lot. They really do. And they're fun to read. And it tells me that the messaging is working, like the message is getting out. So, and then lastly, if you've not done so, make sure you go to the kahunawealthbuilders.com, and download my free quick start workshop. We keep on getting a crap ton of downloads on that. It's a video series that will teach you how to raise private money and how to get all the deal flow coming to you that you would ever want. So with all that said, Cassi, guess what? It's
Time to
you. So why don't you just tell the audience who you are and a little bit about yourself.
Hi, audience. My name is Cassi, and like Corey said, I'm involved in a lot of really cool things in real estate. So just a little bit about our companies. We're Titanium Investments, and I don't even know how many years ago now, my partner RJ Bates and I started real estate investing. We were general contractors, and we were starting to do some big flips for other investors, and we're going, hey man, this is way more our thing. Let's figure out how to do this. So details, and we get our first flip, and we decided we were going to learn about wholesaling. So RJ and myself are both pretty, what's the word I'm looking for? We're tenacious people. When we put our mind to something, we're going to figure out how to do it. And
okay, hold on, time out, because you're leaving out all the good juicy stuff.
Okay.
He's coming to work in your apartment or something like that. Isn't that what I heard that story?
Well, okay.
When you were first starting out, come on, right, man, give me some grit.
Yeah, I'll give you the gory details of all the our coming up story. So we actually, as contractors, we were not very successful. We successfully, turned out a beautiful product, but we just did not scale that well. We were, we just were not going to get to the life that we wanted to get to. And we kind of hit a rough patch in there when we were figuring out, real estate and stuff like that. And we did have an office at one point, and I believe we had maybe let that office go 3 months before that. And we were just working pretty much out of our vehicles on job sites. And so, if we had in-office time at that point in time, it was totally out of my apartment.
Yeah. Hey, well, listen, that's how most people start. Believe it or not, I still work at my house, right?
Well, yeah.
It may be a pretty office, but and for a while there, it was just like a desk and a chair. Now it's like multiple desks, chair, and a cool bookcase.
Right. We kind of have the same situation at this point in time. We work out of my home office more than we work out of our office.
Yeah.
Honest to God. So yeah, RJ is he is a force to be reckoned with if I am, that's for sure. And he decides, he's gonna let me do the GC business. He's gonna let me do that and just keep it going, and he's gonna figure out this real estate investing thing. He's gonna figure out how we're gonna get money, how we're gonna do flips, how we're gonna
Okay.
anything.
Okay, hold on. So then, now if I'm hearing you correctly, you are both in the contracting business,
Uh-huh.
and your partner says, "Hey, man, the grass is greener on the other side. I see it. I know it is.
Yes.
I'm just gonna. Here's your baby. I'm giving it to you.
Yep.
But meanwhile, I've not forgotten about you. But I'm gonna go figure out this other thing real quick because I think it
Right.
might be the way."
Right. Yeah. I mean, we kind of did it in tandem, but his focus was solely, I mean, he tells it better than, he's a better storyteller than I
He
am.
put blinders on, didn't he?
Yeah, he did, man. And I mean, RJ, he is just like, as soon as he decided this is what we're going to focus on, he's like, you keep
He
this
saw
going.
the vision clear as day. This
Yep.
will help us pay the bills and get us through, and I'm going to take us to the promised land.
Yep. And he absolutely full steam ahead. We got we we got our first flip, and we actually partnered with his mom on it, and we got our first wholesale. And at that time, we were so cash poor, and he tells this story so well. But after we put our earnest money down on our first property that we wholesaled, we had $11 left in our
Yeah. See, this is the good stuff.
$11 left in our bank account, which is so bananas. But at that time, of course, I'm like over there like sweating, and I'm like, I tell him all the time, like,
Where are we gonna go have lunch for the next week?
right?
Ramen noodles, 10 cents, baby.
Ramen noodles all day. Like I was right back in the college days. But I know RJ, and I've known him for a really long time before we ever opened our own business. And I just know what he's capable of, and I know when he has that fire in his eyes, I know we're gonna be fine. Because when he has no doubts, I'm like, okay, I will jump off this cliff. Hope there's a parachute in the bag, and if not, we'll figure it out on the way down.
We'll build one as we go, right?
Yeah, and we haven't had to do that too often, thankfully, for my heart. But he is. I had absolute faith in him, and it was still scary. I mean, considering. And I believe we made $11,000 on that first wholesale, and we never looked back. And so it has been a wild ride since then. I mean, we wholesaled, and we were very successful at it.
Hey, can I tell you, like, when you really think about that first one, right? Everybody talks about the first one. Because
Yeah.
the first one seems the most hardest.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
You had to work your butt off to make just 11,000, right? You're like, oh, look back, I'm making 20 grand rips sometimes, so 11's not that much, but like,
Right.
but when you don't have it and you get it,
Oh, yeah.
you're like,
It was
and
easy.
yeah. And like, you're like, man, why didn't I see this earlier is all you
Yeah.
say, right?
Yes. Yeah, it was like at that point in time, like it was so easy. We're like, that's all we had to do. And I mean, keep in mind, like we were fully rehabbing properties, like we're hazmat suit worthy, walking in the door and then coming out, at this finished product going, we just went through the ringer. We turned out a beautiful product, but it was like return on the investment.
You're making the other guy money.
Oh yeah. The return on our investment at that time was it just wasn't there. We didn't have enough volume as a contractor. We were really about quality. We were really loyal to our people, and it just was not scalable for us, to actually turn any kind of profit that would have made sense for that business for us. We did not have the capacity to do it.
Right.
We did not have the volume, we didn't have the staff, and we were not successful at scaling it. And it's not to say we couldn't have been. It's just that we found our path elsewhere,
Right.
and we really, really, really did.
Yeah, and that's really part of the process anyway. Sometimes you have a journey and like you don't exactly know where the journey ends, but you realize when the journey's not working and you've got to make a course correction.
Right, absolutely. Right? And we are we're really big about that. We don't fear correcting that course by any stretch of the imagination, and it's why we are in so many different markets, and it's why we've been able to do so many different things in real estate.
Now, in you and RJ, so um, who's the visionary? Who's the like? Tell me about like who does what in your guys' organization.
Okay, so RJ is like the CEO hurricane. Like he is the definition of it for sure. If you can't tell from just that little picture into our past, he is absolutely the visionary, and he's so good at it. He's wise beyond his years, without experience. He's an incredible decision maker. He makes decisions faster than anybody I've ever seen in my life. Like he has this really amazing instinct. He's got incredible vision. And I mean, I tell him all the time, he gives me so many props for, who I am and what I bring to the table in our partnership. But, I honestly, like, he's incredible. And so he handles so many things, but I handle just as many things, just in a different way. We always tell people, like, by definition, like, I'm in charge of operations, but the reality of it is, if you're trying to kind of put us in boxes, it doesn't work. He's definitely the visionary, and I'm definitely more, able to handle like the tedious.
Right. You're more the support.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. And
but you also have your own ideas that you bounce off of him, I'm sure, as well.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Like, we're both really creative people. And we literally are constant sounding board for each other. We're both very much, leaders, and we've always been really scrappy, and it comes from that background, that initial story. We've been scrappy. We do what we need to do. We adjust where we need to adjust. I'll dig in. I don't mind getting in the trenches. He doesn't mind getting in the trenches. Obviously long term, that's going to go.
You know what that affords? I call that coming from nothing.
Yes.
Right? So
that's right.
Coming from nothing, because I have the same story, right? Mm-hmm. It affords you the ability that you say, I don't give a crap.
Yeah.
Right?
I'm going to do what I got to do.
There is nothing that you have to like, oh God, what are people going to think? Because listen, I was already in the gutter, so like it doesn't even matter. And my pride, there is none. I'm a hustler.
That's right.
I make things happen, right?
Right.
Some people watch things happen, and I make things happen. That's
right. And I think it's that mentality. Like neither RJ or myself, came from, good families. We didn't lack anything that we wanted growing up. But both RJ and myself just had this vision for our lives and how we wanted it to be. It's about creating a lifestyle that is really satisfying. We're just both by nature have to, be in charge of our destiny. If I can create it, why am I going to sit over here and, let somebody else tell me to push some paper for X amount of dollars for my time? I mean, RJ, I went to, we both went to college. I finished, he didn't. He was actually working in college when we opened up working on finishing his degree when we opened up our GC company. And like the plan was he was going to take time off. And he did not ever go back. Because, he found his path. Like, this is what he's meant to do. And this is what I'm meant
to do. Once you get the download for the mothership, right? Yep. You're like, listen, I'm on my path. All I need to do is learn more about real estate.
That's right. And I just need to better myself and better my company. And we've just been doing that ever since. And we've, I went to school, I changed my degree, and I took a year off. My brother passed away, and I took a year off of school. And when I went back, I changed my degree. I was going to be an art teacher. I've been an artist my whole life. I've been an artist since I was little, which was part of that passion for the general contracting, remodeling.
Right.
I love the design and architectural aspects. And I've had a passion for that since I was a really little kid. And, I went to school for that. And when I came out, I was like, well, I probably need to go back for my master's, blah, blah, blah. And one day I was just sitting there with RJ. I'm like, we should open our own business. We stayed up all night and we were like, what are we going to do? And it was serendipitous. There's just no other way to put it. He's the best partner in the whole world. And I couldn't be more grateful that God saw fit to have him, as my ride or die through all of this. And
you're not married, so I just want to clarify that. Right?
No. Everybody thinks that because
I know, because you guys, you talk about each other, right? But it's really like, it is a business. Hey, business is a marriage.
Yes, you're absolutely right. Somebody told me one time when they met us and they were like, you guys really seem like you're the best couple in the whole wide world. We're like, we're not a couple. And they, they were like, what? And they said, that's really funny because everybody assumes that we are, and until they get to know us, and people think, that because of how highly we speak of each other, how well we get along, how in tune we are to one another.
But you guys know your roles, right? I mean, I think that's the key to when I see real successful businesses operate and partnerships operate. Everybody kind of has a pretty good idea of what their role is. And there's and you guys communicate enough, and you can tell that you guys really communicate.
Yeah.
And that is the key to life's problems a lot of times when it comes to companies.
Right.
There's got to be constant communication.
Right. And I think it's more than that. Like that person told me, it is harder to find a good business partner than to find somebody to have a good marriage with. And I see, you see it. Partnerships fail all the time. And I don't know whatever kind of, like I said, it's like serendipitous. I don't know whatever kind of mixture, madness, chemistry went into it. But, we were best friends before. We're best friends still. And, we work really well together. And there's absolute loyalty there. I trust him with anything. I trust him with my life, and, and vice versa. And, I don't think that you find that often in life with
no, without a doubt. I mean, It's very rare that you catch the lightning and get to ride it.
Yeah. And it's so it's awesome. It's one of the things I'm most grateful with. And we talk about it, but I mean, both of us know 100% that we can do anything, like anything we can do together.
So let's talk about this. So, okay, so you've got really good at the wholesale business.
We did. We got really good at the wholesale business. And
what's your volume? Like, what do you think you're doing now?
Our volume has gone way down in wholesale at this point.
But that's okay. But 3 or 4 homes a month. What are you doing?
Maybe
one or two. Because you're fixing and flipping as well. Still, right?
Right. So we're doing more fixing.
Tell me what you're doing. Yeah.
Yeah. Let me update you. So at one point we were wholesaling like over 100 properties a year.
Okay.
We really transitioned at this point. We have more flips now. I think, oh my goodness, I think the last time we counted it was like 36, 35 or something, like 35 maybe now. Okay. And we have a rental portfolio that now is 98 to 100 properties.
Boom! Let's talk about that. That's where I wanted to go anyways.
Yeah, our wholesale business went down quite a bit because we realized, like we said, in that adjustment, we realized we were not going to be able to scale wholesaling and reach all of our, reach our path solely through that. So we started adding the fix and flips, which is for us pretty straightforward, being GCs. And so when we really wanted to make some changes, we started tackling. We're going to figure out how to do single family rentals, right? So going into that, we started picking them up one at a time, and be it through subject to, be it through a portfolio, or just picking them off one at a time when we get them. We just were like, we're gonna build that passive income life. That is what we're gonna do. We're still going to keep going on wholesaling. We're still gonna keep going on our flips, and we're still gonna make our income by that. We didn't want to take away from, what was supporting us, obviously.
Right. Yep.
You got to do it the right way, so that eventually we can get into apartments. And, that's been our goal. That's been our path. And, we've got enough single family rentals now that we're keeping that wholesaling going. But over the past maybe 6 months, it's scaled back quite a bit. And, we're keeping that flipping going, but we're not really acquiring as many flips at once. So that's pretty stabilized at this point. And then we're still acquiring single family rentals, but we'll keep all of those things going. And we're really focused on our other markets that we're in, which is a big deal.
Right.
And in there, I should mention, I also have a real estate brokerage. So we didn't get it for the purposes of, traditional real estate whenever I got my license or anything like that. So we always kind of forget to mention that a little bit.
Right.
But it is work, so it does count. But it's really just to support the rest of the businesses.
Right.
And efficiency, really. So we're really focused on our other markets, as well as, our passive income, building. And, I really hope that in the not distant future, we will be buying our first apartment complex. That's the goal.
If you ever need help.
Oh yeah, I know peeps.
I'm raising my hand.
We're not far.
I'm a good partner.
Yeah.
It just has to be big.
Yeah, I know. We had a couple and they were close, but I was like, nah, Corey's not going to look at these.
Yeah.
They weren't quite big enough.
So, but I will tell you this. I love your guys' story because how you started is like how most people start. And you touched on a couple things, and I've been really talking about vision lately a lot. And, when you have a vision and you say, hey, listen, the first thing is we had this vision of what we want to do. And we're like, hey, let's go into business for ourselves. Let's not screw with working for the man. Let's be the man, right?
Yeah.
Or the woman.
Yeah.
Right? And then you get to a point and you're like, oh, wait. And it's really like if you ever study like movies, you come up with an idea. The main character has an idea that has their life before, and then it changed, and then they start going to it, and then something happens, and you agitate it, right? Which is exactly what happened to you. Is like this is not working. This GC thing's not working, and that's the conflict. And you're like, oh, and so the main character, you guys, have to get back together and say, hey, let's formulate a new plan.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, here's the new plan. It's wholesale. And even then, you got in that new wholesale. You're like, this fits, but it's serving us, but it's still like when we look at our dream, and so you got to go back. Let's retool.
Yeah.
And you keep doing that. And I want to say that's the story for most people. Quit.
Yeah.
Most people cannot hack that reality.
Fear.
Yes.
It's fear. It's all fear-based. And, I always say, I'm not fearless. I feel like RJ's fearless, even though I know better. And for me, it's all about faith. I have complete faith in him. I have complete faith in us. I have a complete faith in our team.
But you also do the work, right?
But that's why we've been through it. I mean, we've done it. We know we're going to do it. We have that stability or that confidence.
And that confidence comes from every time you have to redo it and you get better at it. You're like, you start believing in yourself. Like we have skills and abilities that all we have to do is find the new application, and then we apply ourselves to that skill set, right?
Right.
And you're adaptable, but you know that you've done it before, and so the outcome is never going to change.
Right. And in addition to that, we've done it before, so we're going to be better at it this time.
Yes. That's so, yes.
Better,
you keep improving too, right?
Yeah, right. Absolutely. And I just call that like levels. Like we like I think about it like, little Mario game. Like you're to the next level, and that's where we're at. We're always trying to level up. And I mean, sometimes honestly, we are very humble people. And so sometimes it's, especially me, it's hard for me to like talk about like what we've done or our
Your
success. Or,
success.
yes, because I've
It'll come
never
off as
been,
bragging, right?
yeah. And I've never been like, oh, you know, oh, hey, look what I've done. I've never been a flashy person. I'm very just like, I'm just very real. And like that. And RJ's the same way. Like
Yeah, without a doubt. You guys both, you're my peeps, right? You're
yeah,
my types of peeps.
yes.
I
And
believe in the same way. It's like I'm always humble, right?
right. Yes,
I don't have to show
absolutely.
everybody how much money I'm making.
No. And so we're also really hard on ourselves, because we're always trying to get to that level up, so if there's like something in our business and we're like, oh, we should not be doing that. Somebody else should be
Right.
doing that at this point in time. We're so hard on ourselves and we focus on it till it's fixed. And I'm like, oh my gosh, we're really bad about that.
But
And
when you're alone at night,
yes, when
this
I,
is when no one else is watching. You're like, this is what I do. I'm a multi millionaire. People
right.
will want to pay me thousands of millions of dollars to hear me on stage.
Yes. And
You know what I'm
that's just
saying?
bananas, right? I'm just like, sometimes I sit there, we were sitting there last week, and I mean, this is so random and not very interviewee, but just like chatting. But we were sitting there last week, and RJ was like, I was talking about, we were really talking about like lifestyle, a life by design,
Yeah.
things like that. And, just things that, maybe we haven't achieved in that area. We're always talking about, okay, what is the end goal here? And we were talking about our bucket list challenge, and we were talking about this, that, and the other. And, I'm sitting there and I'm like, well, there's areas in my life I really feel like, I've set aside. And he looks at me and he goes, I understand that, but look at what we've done. And every time we sit there and we tell each other when we're discussing any of these shifts that we have to make in our business or adjustments or new avenues or, new arenas that we're getting into, next level up, every time we talk about that and we actually sit there and we go, okay, what are some changes that we need to make in our personal life for our health, our family, our lifestyle, what are our dreams, and our business? We look at that stuff. But when we sit there and we go, man, look at what we've done, though.
We
He's,
have staff.
yeah, dude. Yes, holy crap. Like people like, I mean, it is crazy. Like people will, it's just that thing where like, I'll just talk to new people and they'll be like, oh my gosh, somebody last week told me, holy cow, I'm talking to a queen here. I'm talking to a
Yeah.
queen in this industry. And I'm like, I don't ever think of myself that way. I think of
I'm just
myself
a
as
sane
like,
cat. Yeah.
yeah, I put my pants on one leg at a time. But the reality of it is like somebody told me yesterday,
You are special.
they said, you need to celebrate. You actually need to take that time and you need to celebrate what you've done. She said,
And
you,
sometimes proclaim it.
yes, she said, you feed families. You put food on people's table. You give people a home. You make things possible for other people that would never be possible for them without you. You have so much that you've done, so much that you've created. Like all of these people may not even, they may say thank you, or they may not even realize how much they have to thank you for. And that's not what matters. Like you have done so much. And I haven't even known this woman that long,
Right.
but
Yep.
she sees what our business has done, and she's like, what you've done is incredible. And most people would quit before
Yeah.
they would figure out how to make that happen. And I mean, that for me is such a big deal because we are in this for more than just ourselves. Like, we have our charity, we have, that means so much to us. And like, that is one of our biggest goals in the end. Our retirement is going to be businesses. We're going to own charities and we're going to still have businesses. There's no retiring for
Bill
us.
Gates, right?
Yeah.
So like you make a lot of money and then you spend the rest of your life giving it away.
Yeah. I mean, and but that's what makes me happy. It's not, I don't sit here and count up all of the things that we've done or all of the houses we flipped or, all of the rentals in our portfolio. I do that for our numbers, for our business, so that we can get better. I don't do that because that's necessarily what makes me happy.
Right. It's not what drives you.
Yeah, it is what drives me is the life. It is the life. It is the fact that I can make an impact in this world with the time that I have here. Like, that is what it's about. I am not, we are not stagnant people. I am not a stagnant person. I'm going to do something with this life, and I'm going to have fun, and I'm going to make a difference for other people. And I'm going to take what I do know, and I'm going to, share it. And I'm going to make good things possible for other people, not just my family, not just, my company, but I mean, that's what it's about for me. Like,
Right.
if
You start there because that's the closest, but then as you start getting bigger, your whole vision gets bigger, right?
yeah,
And I liked what you just said is, you're going to teach you. So I always believe one hand is always up in the air and you're grabbing a hold of your mentor, right? Like I have people that I look up to and I'm always looking up and I feel like I'm trying to grab their hand saying, hey, pull me up, man, pull me up, right? I want to learn. I want to get where you're at, right?
yeah,
That's my mentorship.
yeah,
At the same time, I've got another hand that I've got down, right?
yep,
And I'm looking down to the people that I can help, right?
yes,
And I'm saying, hey, grab my hand.
absolutely,
Let me help you. Let me share with you what I know.
yeah,
And in that is the perfect vision. So I actually got this from it was a story of Jesus, right?
yeah,
And there was a man in the water and he was drowning and Jesus was reaching down to pull him out of the water, right? And grabbing his hand. And then it showed the picture of the next man as he's drowning, right? He's still got a hold of someone farther down below
yeah,
than he was.
yeah,
And I thought, what a great image, because you always should be a student in life, no matter what. We should always be learning,
absolutely.
but you also should be teaching.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that concept was like ingrained in my DNA. Growing up, my dad used to, and he only maybe said it to me a handful of times, but it's something that never, never, never left me, because it speaks so much to who I am. And he said to me, "If you're not learning, you should be dead. If you're not learning, you should be dead." And I said, and at first I was like, I don't want to be dead, Dad,
Hey, I
but
apologize for my noise. I've got my landscapers are blowing.
oh, I can't even
dirt.
hear it.
Good. All right. So I just cut you off in the middle of your story.
Right.
Keep going.
No, it's just that thing. If you're not learning, you should be dead. And it's just like, his way of saying learn every day. And I mean, I'm an education junkie. I really am. And I mean, it's all pretty much focused on real estate these days. But I can't stop myself. If I find I have so many different interests and I love to learn about different things in real
How did you
estate.
guys come up with Hawaii? How did you start flipping deals in Hawaii?
Okay, so we're super blessed when it comes to Hawaii specifically.
And hold on, I'm just gonna put a timeout.
Okay.
I gotta tell my landscapers to like go across
We're
the
at the
way.
corner.
Go ahead.
Okay, so how we got started in Hawaii. We're actually really blessed in Hawaii. So how we even got to the GC point, we were in business with RJ's best friend growing up, and we were consulting general contractors. And we simultaneously opened up our GC company. And in that time, within a few of maybe 3 years, Elijah and his family moved to Hawaii. Now, RJ and Elijah grew up together, and by grew up, I mean like I'm pretty sure first grade up. And they were best buds, and they always talked about owning their own business together. And going into business together, creating multiple businesses, and creating this life, right? And so Elijah and his family moved to Hawaii, and he was just crazy. He's crazy about Hawaii. He loves it.
Oh, dude.
They're never gonna leave. And so he's watched us over the years, grow our real estate business, and he's very, very knowledgeable as a contractor. And he's like, we got to start doing this over here. And honestly, that's how it got started. We started just looking at deals, and we started saying, okay, we started teaching him, about real estate investing, teaching him about flipping and how you know, how the business works. Basically, teaching him what we learned so that
Right. He
we
could help
could.
find you deals and get the whole process rolling.
Right. So we could really be successful at it. We put this property under contract 2 years ago. It had all kinds of issues. It had like liens for 10 years and all this craziness. And so we got into like the biggest whopper of all in our first deal in Hawaii, but it's a really cool deal and it's going to be really worth it. So it doesn't bother us. And so that being said, slowly and surely we just started really looking at properties.
And how are you guys getting your funding?
Private money. We've done a
Let's
couple.
talk about that.
We've done a couple of things with hard money. Honestly, we hit like private money jackpot. I don't even know. It's hard for me to even explain how it happens. I would say the thing that we've been worst at in real estate so far has been finding other people's money. Like it just was dumb luck. I mean, you tell the story of how it happened for you that first time,
Yep.
playing racquetball, and we're just like, I think that RJ and I, sat there and we were like, well, we've got to know exactly. We looked at it way too much like it was marketing, way too much like it was marketing.
It's relationships.
It is relationships. It 100% is relationships. So, we just started putting the numbers out there, and we just started talking to enough people. We just got connected with enough people that we were just like, okay, like this is how we're gonna do it.
Like, just share the message. Am I right?
Yeah, that's all it is.
And the right people will self-select.
Yes.
And say,
oh yeah,
I think I'm interested in that. Like, great. Here's
I
my
love
process.
how you phrase that. I 100% love how you phrase it. We didn't have any packets. We didn't have anything fancy. We just said, here's the return that we can make you. This is what we do. Let me know if you know anyone that's interested, and that's legitimately weird. I was like, this seems so sketchy. like, we need to have something official. We need to have, and it really isn't that hard. It's just kind of like anything else. Like, whether you're in this industry as a wholesaler, whether you're in it as a flipper, as a, if you
Does it get easier to raise private money? Don't you think, as you start getting more confident with
exactly where I was going? Yeah, exactly where I was going. Like, once you do it, it's kind of like riding a bike. When you're talking, the product sells itself. That's what I always say. The product sells itself. Like, you're going to eventually, it's going to be easier and easier as you get more testimonials, say, or you do put together a nicer packet, or you do have a spot on your website, that people can go to where you can say, hey, here's my deal. Or maybe even you just have like an email template, that shows, an example property and shows an experience, or has a testimonial attached to it, whatever it might be. But all of our private money, for the most part, has come from just random people going, hey, I want my retirement funds to be making this kind of return.
Yeah. Bingo.
And so once they started to see, other people were doing it, but it's kind of weird because it's like this hush hush under the radar type of thing. We're how it goes, laws, regulations, yada, yada. And it's like, people invest with us or they become our partner, and then they just want to be passive about it. So there you go. End of story. It allows us to continue to do what we need to do. It allows us to grow.
It allows you to scale, allows you to, like, private money, especially if you're doing fix and flips, or even the buy and holds. You can buy and hold and for a certain amount of time, and then refi your properties and cash out all your money. And then
we've done a ton of that.
Right?
Yeah.
And so, like, when you really learn that leveraging piece, it is really about private money, and it's not hard money. So there's a difference between private money and hard money, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Private money does whatever you ask it to do.
Right.
Hard money has a bunch of rules.
Yeah, and a lot of restrictions, and we got this.
You're not good enough, so we want 2 more points, and we got to have whatever, right?
Right. So we had this hard money. This was the first one that I've ever heard about this. We had this hard money loan with a partner on a flip. And they he went to do a draw, and he was told, this is the first time I've ever heard this from a hard money lender. He was told they had 100% of rehab funds held in escrow, and he wasn't allowed to draw on demo permits, so on and so forth. Engineer, nothing. They were only going to allow us to draw on things that were added to the property. Yeah. So in other words, until we start putting foundation, until we start,
like, listen, we got to clean it all up and demo it first, dudes, right?
yeah, we're like, well, I understand that first if you had told us about it to begin with. And he's calling me like, I've never heard of this. What do I do? I'm like, then they shouldn't have held 100% of the rehab in escrow, because they had our scope. All of that was on our scope. Right. So what are they going to, I said, what you need to do is you need to ask them, when are we going to get that money out of our 100% of our rehab is escrowed? When are we going to get that money? Because are we paying on that? Oh, I think we are. So you can give me my money now, or, it just doesn't make any sense.
Right.
So, like you said, there's all kinds of crazy rules, and everyone's different. Now, I'm not downing hard money. I've used it, and it's been good.
Sometimes you got to, but it's a hell of a lot easier when you can just turn on the faucet of private money. And the private money, you're like, hey, listen, I need about this much money. And they're like, okay, great. Where do you want me to send it? And you're like, that's the kind of conversations that I like to have.
No, it's beautiful. And the best thing also about private money is, if you're like you and I think, I've heard you talk about this before. No matter what, we're going to indemnify that situation. We're going to keep that relationship strong. We're going to keep everything right. We're going to do whatever we have to do. In real estate, everything doesn't always go 100% perfect or 100% as planned. We all know that. And building that relationship and with your private money, like, you don't get that with
no doubt
with hard money. I mean, they're like, no, we're a company. This is how we do. This is what we do. And it actually,
close, right? They're like, because sometimes you have to even extend. Like, hey, listen, I need another couple months.
Yeah.
Right.
Something happened.
Private money, be like, yeah, no problem. Am I still making my interest? Yeah.
Hard money is gonna be like, hard money is gonna be like, you're gonna pay another origination, whatever.
Yeah. Fees.
Yeah, I'm not downing hard money. It's been a huge part of.
Oh, crap on it, man! Come on.
It's been a huge part of how we've gotten here, and I say that for the people that may be listening, just because, for us, we weren't, quite as lucky as you were, and we.
It was not a.
I was saying luck is probably the bad word. Bad word of the day. Sorry.
Let's go working my.
Yeah, well, I know you did, but we weren't. In other words, we did not.
It becomes an easy source. I will say that, right? I've seen a lot of people get trapped into.
Oh yeah.
They're like, oh no, you just want to go to the hard money guy.
Oh no. Yeah, you don't get trapped in that. No matter what you do. We were trapped in it for a long time. We didn't realize how much we were hurting ourselves because other people's money seemed like a mountain to climb for us.
Right. And so sometimes it is in the beginning until you figure it out.
Yeah.
And then once you break through that limiting belief,
absolutely.
You're like, oh.
Absolutely. 100%. So I only say that because I'm like, don't let it stop you.
Yeah.
If you have to use hard money.
Do what you got to do to make the deal.
Right.
Who cares?
Right. Don't let it stop you, but make sure you don't do what we did and take so long to get to that private money.
In other words, get the other foot over on the other side, straddle that thing, saying, listen.
Yep.
Right?
Yep. 100%. So yes, you're absolutely right. When I say luck, I don't mean luck, but I mean,
what you mean.
You had it. You did it in a different order than us. If we had done private money sooner, we probably would have saved ourselves a lot.
And that's all. And really, is only because I got good at raising a crap ton of money that I was even entertained apartments.
Right. Yeah.
Right. And then the market changed. I mean, honestly, if the market hadn't have changed and I wouldn't have been such a crappy dad there for a minute, where I was missing some of my kids' events because I was chasing these rehabs like to an extreme amount and missing kids' soccer games and stuff.
Yeah.
Um, I look back at those times for me, and that was really some defining moments that the market was changing, and I was tired of living a life that was not what I had visioned. So, I
Right.
mean, I visioned my sunsets and palm trees.
Yeah.
Bruce, Bruce Wayne.
Yeah, Bruce Wayne, Bruce Wayne, baby. No, like seriously, that it means a lot, and like that goes back to what I was talking about earlier. Like there's things in my life, and I'm sure if you're as hard on yourself as myself and RJ are, you can always find things to make better. Always find things to make better, but you got to take that time to celebrate. You got to take that time to say, okay, I've reached a milestone here, and I'm going to celebrate this way. But if you're at that point, and I do get to that point sometimes. I'm crazy. Like I am a freight train. I will work myself until I go, I'm pretty sure I need a little bit of like time to do something else.
I need to go at
Yeah.
10 o'clock last night, right? I was like, I think I need to get out of my office,
Yeah.
right? My wife was gone, and the kids are in spring break. They had all their friends. So I mean, I honestly now, I love what I do.
Oh
I,
yeah.
I love it, right?
Yeah.
I could probably do it. I mean, I know I can, but sometimes, right? I'm like, okay, that was a long day.
Yeah.
And then like today, after this call here, I think I'm
Yeah.
done for the day.
Do it. Do
Right?
it. I mean, that's what
I'm going to
honestly,
Hawaii next week for 14 days.
I know you are. I know you are, but that's why we do this, and that's why RJ and I we have, one thing at a time we've added back in. Like, we're like, okay, we can't sit here and pick apart all of the areas in our lives that are 150% successful.
Right.
Like, sometimes you got to sacrifice a little here to get what you need over here.
Yes.
And it's about finding a good healthy balance in all of it. And so yeah, we've sat there and we've said, okay, we're going to start focusing more on our health. Is our health going to get where we want it to be overnight? No.
No.
Like, and that includes mental health, stress levels, and physical health.
Yep.
And
We'll bring better ratings.
oh my god,
Tell me that is not a beautiful face.
that is a beautiful face. That is the
He's my
sweetest.
baby. He's my girl.
Oh my gosh.
Her name's Sooner.
I put mine in the other room. She's so cute. Ugh, RJ would be so jealous. But yeah, it's just that's what it's all about.
It really is. And, and so here's what I believe too, Cassie, is sometimes you have to, what I call sprint,
Oh yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And then you marathon.
Yeah.
There's times in your business's life that you've got to stay extremely focused,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
So like when I was launching my info business, I mean, and even right now, I'm just now getting to the point where I can start marathoning. But
Yeah.
that was a season of my life.
Right.
But now I'm on the other side of that. I'm like, okay, now it's marathon time.
Yeah.
Let me go spend some more time with my family. Let me do some things. I have the time, you learn now. It's harder because we're so accustomed to working all the time
Right.
that you're supposed to smell the roses.
Yep. So my whole thing that I've learned that I always try to do is I try to set myself up for success to take time off, and it's just as simple as that. Um, you know, some people might call us control freaks, but we're getting better as the years go on. It's just about setting whoever you have to delegate your responsibilities to. It's just about setting them up for success, and you've set yourself up for marathon time.
Yeah,
Um,
it really is. I mean,
all those
that's
stuff.
the dream. It's so we're coming up on about, I don't know, maybe 45 minutes. So let me put a couple bows on this thing. So if you could give, now my audience, they're either in real estate. I mean, a lot of them are fix and flips wholesalers. They wanted to get in. What's your biggest piece of advice that you would give someone new, not so much into the multifamilies, but just new into real estate? What piece of advice would you give?
Um, Attach yourself to somebody that you have really good instincts about their business, and their who they are as a person, and learn from them, and then do that again. and do that again and do that again, because no matter what, it goes back to that concept of always be learning, always be learning. There's always going to be somebody better. I mean, there's like it for any one of us, for any
Oh
one
yeah.
of us at real estate, there's always going to be somebody more successful than almost all of us. There's a lot of people in real estate in this entire world. Everybody needs a house. Everybody needs, real estate, commercial real estate, apartments, whatever. People need roofs. So, it's about, um, just constantly be learning, and don't let anything stop you. The only person stopping you is you. And in reality, the information is out there. It's 2018, you know. Um,
There's not a shortage of how tos.
there's not a shortage of how to's, and there's also not a shortage of people in our industry that are go givers. I mean,
Yeah.
really not. You'll run into some people that that's why I put in that little instinct part, have good instincts about people, and know that they're successful. Um, because yeah, there's people that are kind of don't know what they're doing and are kind of shady, but in reality, you can find somebody, probably way closer than you think.
Yeah, I
Way,
totally agree. I totally agree. I mean, I look back at my life. I'm surrounded by great mentors.
yeah,
I've had really good people that have shown me the way,
absolutely.
crafted me. I'll give you even so right now. Um, I'm working on storytelling and telling my message, my story. Right, I've got a great rags to riches story,
Yeah,
and so to do that, you've got to surround yourself with great storytellers.
yeah.
And so Les Brown, do you know who Les Brown is?
Yeah, I don't know him, but
So I don't know him personally, but I
yeah,
do have his cell phone number now in my phone,
nice.
and we've been texting and we're chatting, and so I was sharing with him some of my stories, and so it's cool. This guy's a master storyteller,
Right,
right? He spoke millions and millions of people. He spoke, the domes, and I
right,
mean, and it has a great message, right?
right.
So he took my message, and then he goes on the phone. He's like, all right, young brother." He's like, let me show you how to do this, right? Because he listened to my story. Now it was a good enough story that he knew it and understood it. So I put him in my story, like he could feel it, right? And
Right.
so, and it was memorable enough that he retold me the story. But the way he set it up, he gave me like, he's like, now this is how you do it in front of a million people audience.
Taught you
And
how
then
to paint the picture.
and
Yeah,
he started giving me the story.
yeah,
He did it like it was him,
yeah,
but using my story.
yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, that's amazing. He goes, now that is how you make it a world class story.
Right.
And I was like, wow, man. And so even today, I mean, there's things that I know, and there's things I know that I don't even know,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, of course.
And like, once I heard it from him, like, and this is probably an RJ Bates kind of moment,
Yeah.
it crystallized in my mind what my next steps are going to be.
Right.
I am going to hire Les to coach me and help craft this a world class story
Right.
because I couldn't do it on my own.
Right.
I already know this. I
Right.
have the I have the skill set, I have the desire, but I still don't know the whole craft of it, right?
Right.
And this guy will help me make it to the next level.
Absolutely.
And the way he put it, he goes, "Everybody needs John the Baptist."
Yeah. I mean, it's so true. I mean, it's so true. It's so beautiful. And like ever since I've heard you, talk a little bit about this, I sit there and I tell myself I am really not good. I'm not a good storyteller at all, like at all. I go off on tangents. I'm like blah 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 blah, blah. And I'm like I really should, at one point I really should develop the craft or hone or whatever, get better at it.
So, and so here's how that works, right? So I've gotten better at it. I wasn't great at it, but if I was to show you the book that I'm reading right now, it's called Sell with a Story.
Okay, okay. Writing it down.
And so, you know, I've been working on learning how to tell story.
Yeah, I mean, the bottom line is like everything. People are motivated by it. Our brains are so I don't know the right percentage. Part of our brain is logical, part of our brain is emotional, and the reality of it is people connect with you on an emotional level. Your brain is more emotional, everybody's is, than it is logistical.
Yeah,
And when you can make people feel something, that is whenever you are able to connect with them and motivate them and build a relationship with them. If you can make them feel something, I mean, think
exactly.
as an artist, think about the things that I love and why I love them, whether it's music or dance or just a painting. If it can evoke any kind of emotion in somebody, it doesn't need words. It already tells a story. And whenever you're doing anything in life, whether it's business, whether you're hiring somebody, whether you're talking to somebody to teach, whether you're talking to somebody that's teaching you, you have to be able to evoke emotion in order to have some kind of connection and feel your way to navigate whatever you need to be doing together.
It's really how you learn. Like in
Yeah.
my mind, like so I've always learned by someone somehow getting that story where it got emotional for me, and then as I'm doing it, I'm learning it more. I'm attaching my brain like the reality of how it works. But in that little book I just showed you, Sell with a Story, he's like, listen. He goes, he starts by telling this story. He goes, now, out of this whole book, this will be the only story you remember, right?
Yeah.
When you first come back to it. And he goes, he tells this story of these. His wife's a artist, right,
Yeah.
and loves art and photography and stuff. And so they go into this gallery, and there's this picture of this pig swimming in the ocean. And so he's like, now my wife was really drawn to this and said, oh man, like look at the photography and the whole thing. And he's like, it's a pig in the ocean. Like, doesn't really mean anything to me.
Right.
That was until he met the artist that told the story
Yeah.
behind the picture.
Yes.
And he said, the reason this was cool is because there was no pigs on the island before. And then this guy decided he was going to create a pig farm. And he brought him to this island. He goes, but the problem was there was not enough food on the island to support the pigs.
Right.
And so they were gonna, like, it was a horrible idea. They were gonna die. Yet there was, it was like in the Philippines, so there's lots of little islands, right?
Yeah.
So, but in an island over, there was a guy that had a restaurant, and he dumped all his perishables into the ocean by this little area. And so the pigs understood that that's where the food was. And so the pigs learned how to swim
Oh my
in the
goodness.
ocean. And they started to equate the sound of boats with food,
Food. Yeah.
where you could get that close because it was a real close image of this pig in the ocean. He goes, that they were so accustomed now to people feeding them in the boats, it became a tourist attraction. And every generation of pig learned how to swim.
That is bananas.
He goes, now, what happened to the value of that picture?
Right. Oh yeah.
At that point, I was ready to pull out my wallet and
Buy
pay
that.
whatever price he was going to say.
Yeah.
Because now that picture became a talking piece. If he had it at his house, he would then tell the story behind the picture.
And then in turn evoke emotion in other people, whether it's motivation or just disbelief or awe or whatever
Yeah,
it may be. Or,
exactly. But
yeah.
it's going to create enough. They're going to listen like, I got to hear this,
Yep.
right?
Yeah.
Tell
Absolutely.
me more.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I love that about the storytelling. Like I do need to. It's not hard for me to connect with people. Like I was born like a nurturer. I have a nurturer type personality. Is probably my strongest personality trait, and so it's not hard for me because I care.
Yeah,
like I
exactly.
genuinely care. You know.
So listen, we're getting right now, we're running along. So
Oh yeah.
let's do this. How, if people want to, by the way, great story.
Thank you.
I've really had a great time. My audience will, I know they'll love this podcast. It's fun just talking with real people that
Yeah.
are getting it done.
Yes.
Because and we've really not even talked about like all your single family, like that's providing you guys the lifestyle you see as a vision, and now you're going to you're looking to take that and then maybe go into some multis.
Oh
uh,
yeah. Oh
I
yeah.
mean, that's like the next level, right?
Yeah.
And that
Yeah.
gets you to nirvana, trust
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
But if people want to get a hold of you, Cassie, how do they get a hold of you?
They can get a hold of me through just email me. It's C as in cat, D as in dog at titaniumprops.com, or you can go to our Facebook. You can go to my personal Facebook. You can go to
What's your Facebook? You got to give me the titles.
It's Cassi DeHaas. I mean, there's
And what about your company one too?
Titanium Investments.
Titanium Investments.
Any titanium investments one. We have one for Hawaii. We have one for Arizona. We have one for Alaska.
The reason is my people that produce this, they will go find you and they'll create a hyperlink.
Oh yeah, I mean, I sent them some
notes.
hyperlinks. I did, but I didn't send them all of them.
No, we'll find them. My team will find them.
Yeah, and we'll let RJ talk about our other markets when he does his interview with you.
Yeah, that's gonna be funny. We're like, who's that guy, right? I'm like, oh, that's the girl. That's Cassie's partner, and you're like, what?
I just teed him up. I just teed him up. So yeah, you can just the simplest way, just email me or go to our Facebook page at Titanium Investments.
And don't you guys have a podcast?
Oh yes, we have a podcast, and RJ hosts it, and it's huge, and he's so good at it. He really is. Like, I'm biased maybe, but he's incredible, and
I'm hoping my podcast with him was the best.
It's really far up there. It's my favorite. I'm just throwing that out there. And sorry for every.
So we had a blast.
It's the Titanium Vault. The Titanium Vault hosted by
Titanium Vault in iTunes, right?
Yes, iTunes.
Perfect.
We prefer iTunes, and we prefer 5-star ratings. And I did that for him. He never asks. He never asks for ratings. I'm like, you're so silly. You should ask for ratings every
time.
You know, he's got some really great guests. You know, yourself included, and you know, your story.
It's a fun process, dude. It really is. Yes. Hosting these events, you get so much information from different people, and I mean, I become more I learn more than I ever thought just by interviewing other people.
So do we.
I take notes.
So do we. I mean, honestly, it has been an incredible asset to like the real estate investing community, but it's been great for us. And we tell people all the time, like, find your thing that's like that. Like, I would not be good at interviewing people on a podcast, or at least not as good as RJ is. He's really good at it. And so I'm like, well, I'm going to find my own thing, you know? So I'm getting a totally different avenue started that's, you know, a similar, but I'm not podcast interviewing it. It's a tough job. You guys do a tough job, and I have a lot of respect for it. But it keeps you sharp, and it gets you involved with people. It's a great way to get involved with people across the country, you know, across the world.
For reals.
Yeah, it really is. So.
Well, listen, thank you so much for coming to our podcast, the Multifamily Legacy Podcast. You've been an amazing guest. I think you're going to just continue to crush it. I know you and RJ will. Guys, listen, all my listeners out there right now, you may be saying to yourself, I am ready. I'm ready to make it to the next level. I want to be a Cassie. I want to start from nothing. I want to get like things going on, right? I want to make it big. Well, you can, right? All you have to do is you got to first believe it.
Absolutely.
Put it in your mind, because your paradise is possible.
That's right. Thank you so much for having me,
Cool.
Corey.
Thanks a lot.